All right, welcome to another Classic Car Club drive-through. Today we've got our 1994 North America spec Defender 90. I've had to, I'm gonna have to eat my words a little bit on this one again. It seems to be what I do with a lot of these recently, but we looked at getting a Defender in the early days around 2005 when they were still $25,000, $30,000 for a normal one in nice condition. And since then they've kind of become very popular and all different kinds of well-heeled sects around New York City, and prices have gone up, and normal ones are now $55,000, $60,000, $70,000, and people are doing special custom builds up to six figures. And I was one of those cynical guys. It's like, I don't get it. It's not really worth it. We had our Bronco, we've had Jeeps. One came along, fit the bill, and the price is right, and the truck was solid, and members have been asking for a while, so I bit the bullet and got one. And I have to say, now that I've got one, I've spent some time with it, I can actually appreciate really what the Defender is all about, and the genuine kind of enthusiast reasons that people own them, and that the value has gone up, and they're worth it. So Defender, a lot like the Jeep is to us. Started as the Series 1 Land Rover, a lot of military service in the UK and around Europe, and went through a few series of very basic agricultural mechanical things, but they kept going on a very clear lineage of a purpose-built off-road truck that could be used on your farm, used in international wars, or taken out of the beach. And then 90s rolled around, they they'd modernized it just a little bit, and we had a proper North America spec Defender. So this is one of those North America spec Defenders. It's got a 4.9 liter V8. It's America, you're gonna put that gas V8 in. Most of the European ones had diesels or turbo diesels. There's great appeal for it in the North American market, but there weren't a lot of them. They only brought about 6,500 North America spec Defenders to the US. And then as safety standards evolved, they couldn't put airbags on the passenger side. They would have to do a lot to keep selling it here. So 1997 or 98, I believe, was the last year, and the Defender was gone from the North American market. So limited numbers, had massive kind of appeal, classic truck, convertible top, beach experience, off-roading, whatever you want to do it. It's all-time all-wheel drive. It's got a center locking disc. If you want to get some serious off-roading, they're capable, and they have that heritage and experience doing that, like the Jeeps. But unlike the Jeeps, there's only a limited quantity of them. We have hundreds of thousands of Jeeps, and they evolved them over the years, kept up with technology of the times. We had our kind of 80s Jeeps and 70s Jeeps, and then they've brought it back now to a bit more retro design, but you can get it with Bluetooth, touchscreen radios and dual zone AC and all this stuff that kind of actually, while people love them and they're very popular, it's a departure from when the Jeep started. I think what's really special about the Defender is it didn't really evolve that much. Sure, it got the V8, maybe a bit better brakes and stuff, so you could drive it at highway speeds in North America. But you get in it, and it's still very agricultural. Most of them still have the kind of military-style side-facing rear seats. Ours has a bench, but they kept that lineage all the way through in a way that, while Jeep has done a great job and they have their great off-roading history, they've appealed to the mass market that want to buy it. They still keep the off-road capability, but you can get one that's really comfortably and nicely appointed. So there's some appeal there with that Defender because of that. It's quirky, you get in it, it is like driving it's like driving an agricultural tractor, You gotta learn all the controls and get through the gears and go. And as far as the value goes, they only made so many of them, and there was a while where the government was making a point of televising crushing illegally imported late model Defenders and Minis and other imports that were brought in illegally after their import years. So we're now getting to the point where we've hit the 25-year rule on a number of the more modern Defenders, and you see more coming in. But during that duration, if you wanted the proper North America spec, there's only 6,500 of them brought in. Who knows how many is there still around? And the market demand was going to drive the price up. So sure enough, in spite of my belief that there's no way you should pay $50,000 for a Defender, there's to keep going up and up and up, and they're holding their value. And there's a really good cult following of people who want to drive them. So we're going to get in, check it out, and see what it's all about. Inside the Defender 90. Sorry if we were a bit rushed out there, but it's about 30 degrees and windy, so had to get the words out before I froze. A little more cozy in here, but you know, it's like being in a sturdy old tent with the wind whipping over you. You get inside the Defender, and again, this kind of true lineage and heritage of the early Series 1, Series 2 Land Rovers is here. It is this very purposeful kind of agricultural mechanical thing. They didn't really dress it up much. They didn't do anything beyond its kind of purpose-built thing, which I think is one of the reasons people like these so much. And there's a lot of quirk and nostalgia, and I think while I grew up just wanting to drive purposeful sports cars, come to appreciate a lot of the value of nostalgia. So, little things like keys on the left. This is not a Porsche where they're putting the key on the left for Le Mans. It's likely an artifact of the fact that these are British-built right-hand drive vehicles, and the keys on the left in the UK, because that's where it makes sense for it to be. And when they made it for North America, they just took the steering column and moved to the other side of the truck, and didn't make a new one just for this market. So we get a left-hand key. We've got some kind of quirky heater controls here tucked away on the side. But like a lot of the kind of evolutionary things, it's just a basic machine. You even have to turn the key backwards. Kind of funny. Get it going. The things that did evolve, it does have a modern fuel-injected V8. While I think I'd draw a bunch of keyboard warrior flaming if I said any British car from this era is reliable as it goes. If you want to get an older truck, getting one that at least came from an era where it's modern fuel-injected engine, it's going to be a bit more reliable than the earlier carbureted stuff. So fires up, drives pretty smooth. I've had a lot of people, that are really excited about these. They're like, "Oh man, don't you just love driving it?" And I'm like, again, at first I was like, no, it's like just kind of driving a slow, wallowy truck. But again, there's some that puts a smile on your face about it. The fact that it is so mechanical, and it kind of brings joy in driving in the same way you get joy driving an old farm tractor. One time for my birthday, my wife got me a special experience driving a Zamboni. So you know what? If it has four wheels and there's some challenge to making it go, I'm into it. So this kind of fits into that category. These were all-time four-wheel drive. It's got 3 diffs. We're not getting anywhere we're gonna need that, but basically these were kind of purposeful and ready to go all the time. The only control you have over there is a center diff lock, and then you can pick a high or low gear ratio. So, if you're going off-road and you really want to control low speed, you might put it in the low gear ratio, and then only really when you get yourself into tricky traction areas would you put the diff lock in. I grew up in Maine. My dad had a plow truck, and he always told me, four-wheel drive is there to get you out of trouble, not if you drive around with it on all the time, you're just gonna dig yourself into a hole and have no resources left. So that diff lock is really only for when you get into some tricky situation, because if you have it locked and you drive in and get stuck, then you're done. While this was built in the 90s, it's not like it was actually refined in much of a way. It's still solid axles, pretty rugged. Give it a little, let's see if we can get a little beach parking lot off-roading here. Also good for the city guys that buy it and don't want to deal with traffic and drive over the median. It's capable. Big knobby tires, you're not going to go wrong on potholes, but you know, it's not a speed demon. It's still gonna be something you're not gonna want to barrel along at 85 on the highway with, but at least modern enough to get you to and from where you're going at highway speeds and kind of enjoy the nostalgia of driving an old mechanical 4-wheel drive thing. We ended up with a 5-speed. They do these in automatics. I could have gone either way, but I do think again, if we're kind of getting the full mechanical experience of an old truck, having a manual gearbox is part of the thing. So there we go. Highway driving in a Defender. You know, we're at 60. It's comfortable. You know, wallowy, big knobby tires, but the point is, and I think one of the reasons a true North America spec one is so desirable is that you could get, you know, an earlier one basically looks the same. You could do some things to pretty much make it look exactly the same. But you know, the old diesel motors and the earlier ones were even more agricultural. So, you know, if you're driving, especially around here, a couple hours out to the beach or to get out of town for the weekend, something that's going to sort of top out at 55 isn't really going to do it. Well, again, you're not looking to spend a land speed record in this thing. You could drive it comfortably 65, 70 miles an hour, get where you need to go, and then still have all the off-road capability for where you're going. So getting out on the beach, you know, there's some good beaches you can drive on out here, getting out camping, whatever you want to do, this thing will do it. Everything is pretty bare bones here. You know, forget even roll-up windows. We've got sliding windows. So that's the extent of your window operation there. But again, you get this thing out where you're going, maybe park it out, get a house out of town or something, you probably end up taking the roof and the windows off and drive around open air for the summer. That's kind of what it's all about. You know, people buy these things for a lot of different reasons. It could just be a fun thing to bomb around town, get to the beach, or some serious off-roading, but it's utilitarian. It does it in style and puts a smile on people's face. Again, we've always been a bit more dedicated in the Bronco and Jeep land, but I've really come to appreciate what these things are about. And I know, you know, pick the kids up, take them to school in it, head out to the beach, do whatever we want to do, and it puts a smile on everyone's face. So find your destination, you know, book up the Defender, make it good, make sure it's an adventure worthy of the truck, and get out there and enjoy it.